Okay, Mario, once again, November 3rd, Monday, 2025. Continuing with this discussion on the size of these particular helicopters. This is what I call sub-micro size. And, I started with a lot of these helicopters, early on before any of these companies appear on the market, with a micro Robin 280, sub-micro Bumblebee, and then the Housefly. Um, Helicopters, palm size. So, I go back a long time in terms of all these things. So for me, some of these things are nothing new except the technology. And so I have been looking at these helicopters mainly because of their size, very similar to my Bumblebee, and to see how they perform. As I mentioned in my one of my videos, this is a little too stable. With it's over stabilized for my hand control feel because I learned the old traditional old school way. And so that's the way I've been approaching my bumblebees. I want to maintain that level of control, full control on the helicopter, and not let stabilizers do most of the control, but the pilot do the control. And so I'm still working on this one. Needs a tail rotor, which I'm also customizing to match the ratio that is required, to balance out the main rotor, counteract that torque on the tail with the brushes. Motors is probably going to be very similar in size to this little guy right here, because those are the size motors that I was using on some of my early ones, on some other ones that I did brushless tail rotors, not direct drive on the main, because I was still using gears. But this is my own concoction here. There's a company that goes by the name of OMP, and it's also another company that's been manufacturing these more high-end helicopters for people that are skilled in 3D flying. There's also the Align T-Rex T15. Both of those helicopters are sub-micro, what I consider sub-micro, that have come out in recent years, that are in the basically around the same weight with the battery, about 4 ounces, somewhere around there. Interestingly, that they are, the same way that I established early on, with my Bumblebee. Um, and even though my Bumblebee is not collective pitch, it is intentionally fixed pitch to keep things simple, because I like simplicity in these things. When you start doing collective pitch, such as even these, now you start getting very complex, not only from a build and also from a maintenance repair. It's a lot more work. So I like simplicity, and these work just fine if they're built properly, if they're designed, well in balance. So I wanted to make that point about these other companies that have a similar target weights to what I originally started with my Bumblebee.